Welcome to the Eye on Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Frenay, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
Well, we hopped over here to 1819 Bay Ridge Avenue, and we're speaking with Art Dandridge, who is the president, CEO, owner of Interim Healthcare, which is I don't want to say it's a brand new business, but it's a fairly new business here to Annapolis. You know, I'm going to say that with the aging population that we have, you've got to be in the right place in the right time. I mean, I know when AARP tried to send me that, here's your card and your membership, I was kicking and screaming until I realized that it would, I could get a lot cheaper auto insurance on it. Right. And I'm sure when gets to the point where my kids want to figure out what to do with me as I get old and everything else, I'm going to go kicking and screaming as well. So, and the thing that you specialize in is caring for people in their homes.
Absolutely, yeah, and thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here, and we wear a lot of different hats. We want to make sure you don't go kicking and screaming because we make the process very, very easy. So I think the first thing that we do is just important. It's just to educate. Everybody that we come in contact with, everybody that calls us, we try to provide them an education on what their options are, and of course on what we do. And what we specialize in, you hear a lot of different terms, home health care, home care. So we specialize in home care. And home care in particular, it's non-medical, and we focus on activities of daily living. So that's bathing, feeding, dressing, help with mobility, dementia care. And we also do IDLs as well. So our team, we can help with transportation. A lot of our clients/patients need help getting to doctor's appointments or going to the grocery store or doing something fun like going to a hair appointment or getting their nails done. So our certified nursing assistants, a lot of people refer to them as caregivers. And I always just like to educate and say, hey, there is a difference. A caregiver could mean a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. Could be someone who is non-licensed and has no official training, or it could be someone that is a certified nursing assistant, a CNA, or a geriatric nursing assistant, a GNA, and they've gone to a state accredited program and they've actually earned that license. So if you go to the Maryland Board of Nursing's website, you could type in that person's name, see their credentials, see their licensing.
Okay, the way you've talked, you made it sound like it was for long-term thing. I mean, do you do short-term as well?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, I know I'm going to break a hip at some point.
Right, yeah. So, and great question, and absolutely we do short term. We've had clients for one day. So exactly right. People that need shoulder surgery, knee surgery, hip surgery, any type of surgery, and that could be care needed for 1 week. It could be care needed for a month or longer. That's one of our specialties, is that we will customize our care to meet their needs.
That's really nice because you've got, as we age, at some point, maybe somebody just needs somebody to check in on them once a week.
Absolutely.
Maybe somebody needs them just to be there for a rehab from a procedure that they may have. And, on the opposite end, maybe you've got to have somebody that has, more full-time type of a care.
Yeah.
And that's, as we become more of a fractured society, I think it's got to be probably a little bit more needed when you've got an aging parent or parents here, and you've got one kid there and another kid there and another kid there, and you don't have the ability to check in. I know my girlfriend has, her mother is in a care center out in Nebraska in the middle of literally nowhere, and it's getting in touch with them is just very difficult.
Yeah.
So that's, it's a challenge. And I mean, I can imagine it's probably very reassuring to families of folks of your clients that you're here for them.
Absolutely. And communication is so important. You're 100% correct. It is needed at some times, where often we are that helping hand that is that bridge from communicating with the patient to helping them communicate with their doctor, or helping them communicate with family members that are in a different state. Because that is so common, where we might have a patient here in Maryland and their children are in Texas or in California. So as that parent might have dementia, or they might be losing some of their communication skills, that's where we come in and really bridge that gap. And we're providing daily feedback to those family members, and we're making sure that certain items get sent to the doctor's office, or that they're, kind of like what I said before, that they're going to the doctor's appointments, that they're not missing appointments. So yeah, we definitely come in, and when I say we customize care, we do whatever is needed to really make sure that the patient gets the best level care that they can possibly get.
My mother suffered from dementia, and she's passed on for a while, and we think that she had that early onset way early. Do you help with household tasks? I'm not talking about maids and stuff like that, and stuff like that. But I mean, is that like, we happen to think that my mother at one point when she was in her 50s, she had a house in New Jersey and a house down in Florida. And when she would go to Florida, what she'd do is she'd write a check to the telephone company for like $1,500 and say, well, they'll just work it off, while I'm down in Florida. And she did it for the cable company, electric, and everything else, just to keep the lights burning at the place up north. And in hindsight now, we're sitting here thinking, was that early dementia that she realized that she couldn't write the checks or reliably figure out how to pay her bills? I mean, is that something that, some sort of a task that you might do? I mean, I know there's a financial little bit of a risk there, but.
Sure. So absolutely. So when it comes to like light housekeeping or household chores, we will do that. So as long as it's a private area, we'll clean a bathroom, we'll clean a kitchen. But to what you're speaking of, organizing, we've been able to help so many of our patients organize their bills, even organize their emails. And some of our caregivers,
I guess we're living in a different world now.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of our caregivers are very tech savvy, and they're educators, where they can help someone find certain emails that they're looking for, or organize and help them set up recurring payments and things like that. So it all just comes down to the customization of what the family needs and what that patient needs and wants. But absolutely, we've helped people with decluttering. Oftentimes one of the signs of dementia, or one of the ailments, I would say, of dementia,
borderline hoarding.
Absolutely, yeah. So we often will come in there 3 times a week and really help them determine, hey, this needs to go, and this is something you can keep. So we have several patients that we do just that for them. That sounds simple, but what it does is it also prevents falls. It helps the mind stay active, and it just creates a better environment in the home, because that's our ultimate goal. Is that if someone wants to stay at home and age in place, we're here to help you accomplish that.
That's got to be the most effective and best way to do it. I mean, you're in an environment that you're familiar with. I know, again, I'll go back to my mother. She ended up in a continuing care community like Ginger Cove. Actually, I think it was a sister to Ginger Cove. And she just didn't want to go into there because it was such a new environment. And I mean, she paid to go in. She made the decision. It wasn't like we were like, okay, Mom, we're putting you, and she spent the first year living in her old house. And she would go over for the meals because she was paying for it. She wanted to let them cook, but she would sleep and she would live out of her old house before she sold it. And then she realized, and she got comfortable with the community to do it. So I understand that level of comfort, and to be able to age in place in a house that you're familiar with, that, that door creaks, or, where the couch is, is really a huge benefit to somebody that needs the services.
Absolutely. And I think the key is it's whatever that person's goal is. Because sometimes going to an assisted living or a continuing care retirement community is the right thing to do. We do what the family and what that person wants to do. And what we're finding now is that more and more people, they want to stay home, they want to age in place, they just don't know how to do it. or they have some barriers that are causing problems and making them feel unsafe or doubt that they can age in place. And that's where we come in. We remove those barriers, we provide them the support that they need. And the reason I'm here is just because I went through the same thing with my father. My father had chronic kidney disease and was on dialysis for 10 years.
Oh, gosh.
And we needed help in the home for him to be more comfortable. And we struggled. We struggled with finding those resources and to be able to customize care that we wanted. I would travel. So I didn't need the same hours every week. Some weeks were worse than others where I would need a certain schedule one week and have another schedule the next. And I just didn't have that resource. So I always thought, when I have the opportunity, I'm going to provide a resource like this to the community where someone can customize their schedule. They're not, it's not a cookie cutter approach. What we do is we really take a holistic approach to our care and create something that really works around that person and not around our schedule as a company or what we'll do. We really adapt to what that person and that patient needs.
Man, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's, that's seriously is, and I imagine that, you run into resistance from patients, just I don't need this, I don't want this. And I guess the beauty is that you guys are trained to see changes. Mm-hmm. And whether that could be changes in the way we store stuff in our house and we've become hoarders, whether it changes in temperament where, I was, the nice and friendly guy and now I'm the mean SOB that's, so to be able to communicate that to the family, taking it a step further, and I'm assuming that you make communications with their doctors as well. And that's, you're a very good liaison between the three-way.
Absolutely.
Actually, I guess four-way when you include the patient.
Sure.
Yeah. How does a typical, let's just say that I have a parent that needs pretty significant care. How does a day work with Interim Healthcare of Annapolis?
Great question. And every day is different and every patient is different. We have patients that are bed-bound and they need help with every activity of daily living. Some of our patients can't move, they can't feed themselves. So we would do everything for them, the feeding, the bathing, changing them, rotating them in their bed, helping to keep them comfortable, and then the follow-up with the family, and also following up with that physician, if they're requesting information and letting them know, how this person is progressing. We often partner with and work very closely with hospice companies as well. Same with skilled nursing companies. We have that patient that can't move, can't feed themselves, and needs help around the clock with pretty much every activity of daily living. And then we have a lot of our patients are really independent, but they might begin falling, or they just want someone there to help make their meals because they're losing some of the use of their hands. So opening containers and turning on the stove and chopping food might be a little bit more difficult now. So we'll come in and we'll help them cook their meals for the week. So we see the whole scale of people that really need everything or they need a lot of help on a daily basis to people that just might need help with their mobility or with meal planning.
How did you get into this?
Yeah, great question.
I know you said that you dealt with your father on dialysis, and that was, and that was just really the impetus for you to come into it?
It was. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
So you're not a nurse or a doctor?
I'm not. No, I'm not a clinician. I really cut my teeth at Home Depot or HD Supply, the commercial arm of Home Depot, and I also worked at Valvoline. Valvoline and oil change. Right. I was on the franchise team there. So I was while I worked there, I kind of had this brainstorm where I was like, wow, okay, business owners don't wear capes. They're not superheroes. They're just people that invested in themselves and took a risk. So that idea was planted then, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. I've always been a people person and always been in business development. So I could always relate to people pretty well. But when my dad got sick and I just saw the limited options that we had as a family, which was, I never thought that would be the case. He has great insurance. We had a budget for home care and to get help, but the services just did not align with what we needed. So that's kind of where we're having that light bulb go off. Now I had a passion, and now I was driven to create something that was different and that really adapted to patients' needs, where I just saw that us as a family, we had to adapt to the company. We had to adapt to whatever company we wanted, or that was potentially going to help my father. Where in healthcare, I really feel that it should be the other way around. We really need to take a holistic approach and adapt to the patient's needs and create a plan.
Where does Interim Healthcare of Annapolis serve? I'm assuming you're not just the 4.5 miles of Annapolis.
Yeah, great question, and just so proud to serve all of Anne Arundel County. We also serve Prince George's County, and we serve Charles County, Baltimore City, and Baltimore County. So we really, we serve the surrounding area, but we're so proud to have the name Annapolis and attached to Interim Healthcare, because this is just a great city. And Ann and I, when we moved here many years ago, we fell in love with Annapolis, and we love calling Annapolis our headquarters. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, we serve various counties
surrounding
in
Anne Arundel. So awesome. Now, you can go from checking in once a week to 24/7.
Sure, absolutely.
How do you do that? Do you have a stable of employees that you?
Great question. So that is one of the key things about our company, is that when you say employees, they are W-2'd. They are actually our employees.
Okay, so you're not calling up 1-800-RENT-A-NURSE and saying, hey, I need to go see Mr. Smith.
Absolutely not. Yeah, we don't use independent contractors. All of our employees have background checks. Multiple background checks. We use the Inspector General. We use the Office of the Inspector General. We pull a FACIS background check, which is a medical background check, and then we also do state, county, and national sex offender. And we have over 100 certified nursing assistants and geriatric nursing assistants on our team. So we can provide care once a week, and then we also can provide care 24 hours a day. Some people will call that live-in care. What I like to say is that we can provide overnight care. So we can have someone during the day, and we can have someone there at night.
Well, I know my parents, had in-home care in their, retirement community where they ultimately, ended their lives. Mm-hmm. But they, and again, the overnight care was primarily somebody sitting there watching TV. Right. Which is, while they slept.
Right.
And during the day, it was a lot of different things there as well. You talked about you've got the CNAs and the GNAs.
Yes.
But earlier on, you mentioned that you were non-medical. So the folks that work for you actually do have. We're not MDs and we're not RNs, but they do have medical background.
They do. Yeah.
So I guess you're not prescribing, and you're not doing procedures.
Yeah.
But they certainly have the medical background to realize that if somebody's blood pressure is going through the roof, that we need to, do something. Yeah,
great question. And it's funny because we're considered non-medical, right? Technically, we are non-medical, but these are clinicians. They have gone to an accredited program through the state of Maryland, and they have earned a nursing assistant's license. But for example, the best way to look at it is we don't do anything that is considered skilled nursing. So wound care or physical therapy, occupational therapy.
Injections.
Yeah, and believe it or not, even checking blood pressure. Blood pressure technically is skilled because if it's high, you have to do something about it. And that CNA really isn't qualified to do that. A nurse could, So typically what we do is if a patient wants us to check their blood pressure, we absolutely can do that, and we do it no problem. And if it is abnormal, our CNA will call our nurse. So we have 4 registered nurses on our team. So they also partner with families. They train our certified nursing assistants. We use HealthStream, which is a great service. It's online. You might see their commercials early in the morning. I know they are advertising a lot more now, but HealthStream is a great training, and we give before any of our certified nursing assistants are hired, they have to pass a HealthStream assessment, and then they get continual training from our nurses as well. And then, like for example, today, one of our patients had to go to the hospital. She fell last night when we weren't there, but when we arrived, our certified nursing assistant we called our nurse and determined it was best that our patient go to the hospital.
Okay, so then you are coordinating with the RNs.
Absolutely.
And they're the intermediary, I guess, before going into the hospital, and they're saying, well, call an ambulance, or let's get an Uber, or I don't know whether you can drive them yourself. I mean, that's probably a whole different. Well, I guess you said you help them get to medical appointments.
Sure, we can drive. Like absolutely. We can provide transportation.
Depending on what it is. I mean, your broken arm. Okay, well let's immobilize it and just get you in your car and go, or whether you need to call an ambulance. And that's fantastic that you've got that resource available to your CNAs and your GNAs.
Absolutely, yeah. Our nurses are great. Our CNAs and GNAs are great too. We only hire great people, but our nurses.
You're not biased at all, are you?
Only for greatness. Only for greatness. But our nurses will visit our patients before a CNA gets there, and that's just Maryland regulations. You have to do that. You have to have a nurse meet with the patient and provide an assessment. So we do that, but our nurse will continuously make visits and always keep in touch with our clients, with our patients as well.
How has technology evolved in this as far as, I know that I kind of like the idea that I can go onto my doctor's office and I can see, okay, well, yeah, my blood pressure has gone down, or, this is the last time I got this prescription and everything else. I imagine the technology has come into you as well. Are your CNAs, I'm assuming, logging like, hey, we got here at 12 and we did this, and so the families will know exactly the level of care and be very comfortable with the level of care that their loved ones are receiving.
Absolutely, yes. So we use an EMR, electronic medical record, so that keeps, and families actually have access to that too, so that actually keeps track of when someone arrives at the home, how long they stay at the home, and then we can leave notes, and we can leave a record of what's going on during that shift. But even more importantly, we capture their medications, we capture the doctor's information, we capture any changes in their behavior, all on that application or on our portal, so that we keep records of when our CNA's licenses need to be renewed, or our nurses' licenses need to be renewed, or when we need to go and do another assessment of that patient or that client. So yeah, using technology it's great. It keeps us organized, and it also just helps with communication.
So if I'm down in Texas and my mom is up in New Hampshire, well, say she's in Annapolis. Why am I saying New Hampshire? I don't know. But is here in Annapolis and you just find that she was a little bit cranky this morning, and she's been cranky the last couple of weeks. You could put a note into that record that I could access down in Texas. And I could call her up and go, Mom, stop ticking these people off, because, or you can actually, through your nurse or through the CNA, just make a determination. Well, maybe we need to see a specialist because there may be something more going on here than just having a bad Monday.
Absolutely, and that's the power of our nurses. But just to unpack that question. Absolutely, the notes would be in the system so that the family member could see it, but that would be a phone call. For us, we embrace technology, but we also embrace communication, and that's not. Yes, we do text with our clients and our families, but I like to talk. So, that would be a phone call to that son, letting them know what's going on, and then yes, if our nurse determined that, okay, this is something that's pretty serious where we need to, we probably need to make sure that the doctor is aware and that we have an appointment or we get an appointment scheduled, then yes, our nurse would call the doctor's office or call that doctor, let them know about that change, because it could be a reaction to medication. With dementia, normally it is. And we need to change it or we need to adjust that medicine.
Sure.
So our nurse would take the lead there, communicate with that doctor's office, and then we would either get a appointment scheduled, and just depending on the patient, either we're going to take them to the appointment or a family member would, or both. We accompany that patient with a family member. And
you talk about the communication. I imagine that with Interim Healthcare of Annapolis, that your communications probably go from so amazingly good. Hey, we're here for mom, we're here for dad, we're here for Aunt Bertha, or whatever it is.
Sure.
We're here for the person that needs help. Great sense of relief to everybody that loves that person. We all do get older though, but I mean, as you sit there going down, I mean, imagine those conversations have to be difficult to sit there and say, hey, look, we think we maybe need to bring in hospice, or we may need to consider, if the care is just so severe, moving into what would be, I guess, a traditional nursing home.
Sure, yeah.
And I just imagine that your communications can be from such highs to really such lows. And I mean, you do see people through the end of their life as well.
We do, and probably more, that's the common thing, right? Most of our patients and our clients don't get better. Some do, because some are, a lot of our clients just have knee surgery, so we'll be there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Sure,
but
that's somebody that's 60 or 70. That's done, as opposed to somebody that's 80 or 90.
Absolutely.
That is at their end of the life. But I mean, again, they're making this decision with their family that nobody's naive enough to think that it goes on forever.
Right.
It's unfortunate. I mean, you have to address it. I mean, I know there are awkward conversations we've had with our parents. To be able to say, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Is huge.
It is.
Up here in the head and in the heart. I want to be where I am, and that's where it is. So the compassion that you guys have, and you've talked about, the definition of caregivers and CNAs and GNAs. There is a special place in heaven for every one of those people. I mean,
absolutely.
I've had to deal with, I say deal with, and that makes it sound negative, but with both of my parents, and I've seen some with my girlfriend's parents, and I mean, these people are just absolute godsends.
Yeah.
And the level of compassion, and generally, we don't appreciate them along with teachers enough.
Right. No, absolutely. It's the hardest job in medicine.
It really is.
Yeah.
You get trained to be a doctor. You know what to cut, where to cut, what to snip, take out, and all of that. But this is, you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, and everybody's different. And it's the level of compassion that I've seen in every single one that I've met, bar none, is off the charts.
Absolutely. And that's what we look for, and that's how you get through those difficult conversations. It's compassion, it's honesty, and it's patience. You just have to earn, I think we do a great job of just earning trust, and I feel that people trust our organization because we are honest and we do bring a lot of compassion to the table. But we're also very educated in the area and with who we partner with and the suggestions that we make to people. So in time, people, a lot of times we have those difficult conversations, and 2 weeks later, a lot of our clients say, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to really walk me through all of my options. And like I said, we're educators. That's really where we start. One of our goals or our purposes, no matter who walks into our door, no matter who calls us on the phone, no matter who emails us, if they become a client, excellent. But everybody's going to get an education.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Everybody's going to learn something and know more than what they did prior to their interaction with us.
It's a relationship business that you have. I mean, you were building a relationship with your employees and with your clients and your clients' families and the whole nine yards. When I contract with Interim Healthcare of Annapolis. And I realize that if I need 24/7 care, there's not going to be one person that's going to be there 24/7. Okay,
Yeah.
they need a life too. But I mean, typically, if I say need somebody to come in, let's say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, meals, cooking, and then bills. We'll say those days, just some basic stuff like that.
Sure.
Typically, would that be the same person?
Absolutely, and again, great question. We strive, our number one goal are permanent placements. So with absolutely with our families, what our strategy is, we have one primary caregiver, and then we have a backup that we introduce 2 to 3 weeks into the process.
Okay, and that's vacation, sick time, just when life happens that somebody can't get in there?
Absolutely right, because tires go flat, kids get sick, we get sick, so you always, but care, if you need care, you need care. People call us because they need our help. So the worst thing in the world is to tell someone that, oh, well, our caregiver is sick too. The second worst thing is, oh, I'm going to send a complete stranger. So we always introduce one primary, one backup, so that the care never stops and the comfort level of our patients remains high.
Yeah, I can imagine that, if I'm used to Art coming into my house every single day and we've developed a friendship, which we do. It's a relationship. I mean, you'll give me a hard time when I'm being obstinate or something like that back and forth. And I mean, that happens, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Art's not there and Ann walks in the door. I'm like, well, okay, who's this?
Right.
What are you here for? And it's like, well, no, I don't want you to change the, and I think that's wonderful that now, in your instance with Interim Healthcare of Annapolis, I've got Art's not here, and all of a sudden Ann walks in. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you. Yeah, okay. And knowing that Art's going to be coming back, got to be again reassuring.
Absolutely, yeah. So that is typically what we'll do. And even with 24-hour case, we do something very similar. We just put together a team, and oftentimes we'll meet before the care begins, either in person or Zoom. We try to accommodate every request within reason.
Sure.
Sometimes people will ask, well, can they come in and work a day? It's like, well, I mean, we could. I mean, sure, but that's usually not the best way to do it. Why don't we meet beforehand and you ask the questions that you have and you get to know each other?
Well, there is. I mean, you can sit there and sit down with somebody in 5 minutes and know whether you just want to walk out of the room,
right,
or whether okay, I can deal with this person, or I really like this person.
Right.
And I think most people can really make that determination pretty quickly there.
Absolutely.
What's been the most rewarding thing since you've started Interim Healthcare of Annapolis for you personally? What makes you go home at night and smile and sit down in that chair with with the cigar, the beer, or whatever, the soda, whatever it is, and think, this is it?
Yeah, the most rewarding thing is just helping families and helping our patients, whether it's end of life. So many times, because when people call us, it's usually because things aren't going well, and people are kind of at the end of their rope. They don't know what to do. So we come in and we make people comfortable. We really help take the pressure and the stress off of families, because most families will work together and try to provide care for their loved one until it gets to the point where they can't do it. And when you're at that point where you can't provide care for your loved one, it's a helpless feeling. I've been through it.
Yeah.
It's you feel helpless. So when we come in and we're able to give them that reassurance and then execute and make their lives better. I mean, that is our mission statement at
Three
Interim.
wins.
Yeah, we make lives better. So that's really why we do this. It's because we're mission driven. I mean, yes, we're a business, but we are mission driven, and we want to make lives better, and we want to help others, and help relieve some of that stress that many of us have when we're trying to care for our husband, wife, or our mother or our father.
As we age, there's so many different options that are out there for us. I mean, we've got what would be a traditional nursing home. There are Out in the Midwest, they call them care centers, which is probably a residential interim healthcare type of a thing.
Sure.
With the CNAs, they, just to make sure they're okay. You've got dementia units, you've got continuing care communities where, I know you need to be able to walk in and be self-sustaining on your own to do it. And the prices range, all sorts of crazy prices. So it's just a great option to have and to explore, especially when you've got somebody that is comfortable and capable of living in their own home, to be able to just need some help to figure it out. And that's something that I think more and more people really need to think about, that, hey, this is an option. We don't need to sit there and think, where do we put mom? Where do we put dad? Where do we put, there's no need to put them anywhere. Put them right here at home and bring somebody in to give them a little bit of hand. And that's where interim healthcare comes in.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, for sure. In most cases, right, most people can age in place and stay at home, and we find that most people want to.
It's all about comfort.
For sure.
It's similar to what, with hospice. I mean, their processes make it as comfortable as possible at the end of life, and I mean, you're just doing the same thing as far as they age, just a little bit earlier, to make it as comfortable as possible for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, and we partner a lot with hospice as well. So I would say, a lot of our patients, they're with us, and they're also with hospice. So we work, hand in hand with hospice.
Sure, fantastic. Yeah. Interim.com/Annapolis is the website. And I do encourage anybody that may have an aging spouse or an aunt or a parent, or maybe even as yourself, and you want to get get your act together maybe before you need it, investigate it. Come here, and as Art Dandridge had said, that they're educators. They're going to teach you something new every time that you contact them. And I can't think of a better option for somebody, again, depending on what their medical needs are, to be able to age at home. And I've got my pets, I've got my, you've got all of that with you.
Right.
And it's a great option. I encourage everybody to check out interim.com/Annapolis. And I suppose you could come over to 1819 Bay Ridge Road Avenue. I get this all the time. We're Avenue.
Avenue, yeah. 1819 Bay Ridge Avenue. We're Suite 235, and you can also give us a call at 443-808-1003. Feel free to ask for Art, and that's 443-808-1003.
I want to thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
but more importantly, I want to thank you for what you're doing for the community and for those that need some extra help as they age. So I thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you, John. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and we appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.